Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and how long were you training? How long were you doing this for? Like, how long did it take from you
Well,
got
this
to the
was
movie
kind of the
shooting?
typical Indian experience where, I was told like, okay, so we have, we're going to be here for 8 months. Like it's an 8-month contract. And I'm like, great. And then the week before I show up, they're like, hey, we had a delay. It's going to be 10 months. Is that okay? And I was like, sure. And then I show up and a few months in, they're like, oh, we had another delay. It's going to be 12 months. And I think I had like 7 contract extensions. And I ended up staying almost 2 full years.
What?
So,
From 8 months to 2 years. That's amazing. But
yeah,
that's
I
good
think
for
we did
him, right? Because his body was
23
able
months.
to adapt over that time. is the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And it was good and challenging. I mean, it also meant that because we had him ready to film after like 6 months. And then it was another year really.
And then
until
after
we
that
did
point,
most of
yeah.
it.
So what does he do
So then
after that 1 year? Right?
Yeah, so we kept training. I think the challenge for him is that Aamir likes to eat ice cream and food like that. Like he's everybody in India, they call him Mr. Perfectionist, and he is he's the most insanely dedicated hard worker I've ever met. Like, so no question about it. But he does like his ice cream. So the challenge for us was like being like, I'm going to do this no matter what for 8 months is one thing, but like 2 years of being that dedicated to your diet and your workout. I mean, like the day that I met Aamir the first time, he explained the project and what was happening. And I was not eager. I wasn't into Bollywood. I had just gotten taken to the finals in Vegas for America's Got Talent with a beatboxer. So we had, made it through 3 rounds and we had killed it with the judges. So we were about to go on America's Got Talent. I was building a new show. But suddenly I'm in India and I get this offer and I'm like, oh man, how can I turn down training like Bollywood's biggest movie star for a circus movie? Like I have to do this. What an adventure. But I was like, but I'm not into it for the fame. Like, I don't care about movie stars. I don't care about, that kind of thing. I was excited about the project, like turn a 47-year-old out of shape actor into a professional acrobat. Like, that's something I can get excited about. But I told him the first day, I was like, so Aamir, I just want to tell you, like, I respect what you do, but I need you to know I'm not your fan. And if you miss one workout ever, you fly me home the next day. And I just want you to know, like, I'm not interested in training a movie star who's a movie star. I'm interested in training someone who wants to do this. And so I'm telling you right now, like, if you miss one workout ever, I quit that day. And it's not a joke and it's not a threat. I will literally fly home the next day and you will pay for my flight and we're done. Because I didn't want to get into I didn't want to give up everything I had to give up to go train somebody who's going to be like, I'm a movie star. I like to have my trainer around. I was like, no, if we're doing this, we're doing it,
Wow. Wow. And this was for PK? What movie was this?
Well, so originally he hired me for Doom 3, but there was overlap in the shooting. So we ended up doing slightly different sculpting of his body for the 2 films. But it was essentially one training process that ended up being used for both of them just because of the shooting schedule. So he originally hired me for Doom 3, but I was also his trainer while he was shooting all the shirt off scenes for PK.
I see. All right.
And, to his credit, for 2 years, he missed 2 workouts in 2 years. And, one
you didn't quit? You didn't bail out on him the second he dropped?
I almost did. Actually, that's a good story. One day he goes, so Dave, tomorrow we're not working out. And I was, we're like maybe 8 months in or something. And I'm like, Aamir, we talked about this. Like, you miss a workout, I'm done. Like, and he's like, no, Dave, no, trust me. It's a good reason. And I was like, no, man, no, I'm not even listening. There is no good reason. He's like, look, I'll make you a bet. Because Aamir loves to gamble and I love to gamble. We play poker together. So he's like, I'll make you a bet. Tomorrow, I'm not working out. Day after, you come over. If you think that this was not a good reason to miss a workout, I will treat you to dinner at any restaurant in Mumbai. You say it, we will shut down the dining room. We will take a whole dining room and we will have it just for me and you have any dinner you want at any restaurant in India. He said, but if I'm right and you think it was a good excuse, you take me to dinner at your favorite restaurant and you treat me to dinner. And I said, okay, that's fair. And I come over, day after and we're having some tea and I'm like kind of waiting to see what's up. And suddenly goes, I'll be right back. And he walks down the hall and he comes back and he's holding his baby in his arms. And they had done a surrogate birth because, his wife wasn't able to carry the child. So it was their biological child, but they'd had a mother who carried the child and gave birth. But nobody was allowed to know about it because it was a big secret. Just because of his level of fame, there was a lot of danger of what could happen to the woman or et cetera. So nobody, there were like 4 people alive on earth who knew they were about to have a baby. And I was, not one of those 4 people. That was one of the first, people to find out. I come over and he walks out with their, 2-day-old baby in his arms. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm taking you out to dinner. you know, what do you say? So we called my favorite restaurant, and I was like, can I please rent your restaurant for a night? Because you can't have Aamir have dinner where there's people, because it's like insane mobs. It's physically impossible to have him in a room with people. Otherwise it's just insanity. Like, people get stampeded and go to the hospital when he shows up in town. They bring in police force from other, cities, because it's so, just so intense. Like what happens when he walks, like, Leonardo DiCaprio rides his bike around LA, and you go like, oh, I heard, I saw Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, movie stars in America go shopping. Like, Aamir can't go shopping. Like, he hasn't walked into the street without a team of bodyguards forming a human circle around him for 25 years, because people die if he goes outside and there's not enough preparation for him to be in public, because literally people will trample over their own children, and people die because they want to get close to him and touch him. It's a level of fame we don't have here. It's very hard to describe to Americans.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's actually, we can. It's simple. It's Elvis. Like, it's like Elvis or the Beatles. It's like people passing out, people who, like, it's, it's just a whole different level of fame.
But that's kind of humble of him that he was able to work for like 2 years, like work out.
Oh,
right?
He's actually he's insanely famous, but he's super down to earth. He's really chill. He's a really smart guy. He's very sweet. I mean, he was always, treated me really well. Like, he was, you show up, he's got a t-shirt with a hole on it that he was wearing yesterday. He kicks his feet up on the table. He's asking you how you're doing and what's going on. I mean, he's very generous, humble guy. Like, he doesn't let it get to his head. He just lives in this universe where, this is his reality, is like an armed police officer and at least 6 bodyguards for him to walk outside of his door.
Well, David, I have to say, these stories are amazing, but we're out of time here. Well, we could talk on for more and more and more, but it's just that I have so many questions, but that's it. That's what happens.
I got it. Okay.
Joseph, is there anything you want to ask? Anything you want to say before wrap up?
No, I guess one final question was, it's interesting what he said about doing cardio and lifting separately, because for years I always found that doing cardio first really primed me for like a better lift. Like, I felt like I got a better pump. I was more excited. Like, I felt like I had more energy to get through the workout. So now you're making me consider, keeping those separate.
Well, 2 things. One, it's not black and white, right? So there is, like, I